I'm talking about.
Hi, you're watching Talking About. I'm Jon Griffith. I'm going to be joined in a second by Scott Kramer, who is a licensed psychotherapist. And we're just going to go over a few things to help make your life a little bit easier and keep the stress off and hopefully keep you in a better state of mind. Okay? Here we go. I'm going to bring Scott in now.
Okay. Well, Scott, thank you for taking the time to chat with me about this. I know this is a hard time for a lot of people with the COVID-19 coronavirus outbreak, and a lot of people being isolated at home, and probably most people being isolated at home. And I know that you're still seeing clients via video conference, and maybe we can go over some steps and some common things that people are dealing with right now, just to make people's lives a little easier. And I'm really grateful that you're here to do this with me.
Absolutely. I mean, this is an unprecedented time in our history. No one has ever been through anything like this before. And I think that we don't know what to do. The only thing that we can compare this to a little bit may be triggering feelings from the early days of the AIDS pandemic. But that didn't affect everyone globally as much as this is immediately and so quickly. So that's why I say it's triggering. It's not the same, but it can trigger people who live through that. I wrote down a couple of ways that people might be able to get some relief or deal with or cope with coronavirus. And would now be a good time to read that list and talk about that?
Yeah, that would be great. As soon as I get the public safety alert off my phone.
Okay. Public safety, always important. So some ways to cope with coronavirus are really like to create a routine and stick with it. I find that every morning, if I come downstairs, take a shower, shave, do all of my regular routine, it makes the day and starts the day off with a much better intention, instead of sort of like what I sometimes do on a Saturday morning, which is lounge around in bed, wake up late, don't eat until lunch. You know, that kind of thing maybe works for a day or two, but without that firm, good way to start the day, it can be really challenging to not follow through with that. So that's what I say. Stick to a routine. Connect with people virtually. So a lot of people are already doing that. You're seeing Jonathan and I doing that right now.
Right.
And that is,
just last weekend, some friends and I, we did like a virtual cocktail and mocktail party for an hour. Yeah, the two of us here and the two of them there, and we spent an hour, you know, almost as though we were hanging out together, except I couldn't pet their puppy.
Exactly, and that's probably all you wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
You know, we have to be thankful for the little things in times like this. So seeing the puppy maybe was the thing to be thankful for, and also being able to interact with your friends in that way. The first time I heard about virtual happy hours or virtual parties, it sounded a little bit hokey to me, but then I actually participated in one, and it wound up being so much fun and a really interactive experience. And I really, really enjoyed it. It's not the same as being with other people, being able to hug them and kiss them and show our affection, but it'll do in the interim until coronavirus passes its this stage of what it needs to do or what it's going to do.
Right.
Some ways that you can actually virtually connect with people that I found, but I haven't tried yet, but these are interesting. One of them is called Netflix Party, and that is a Google Chrome extension. And so you can watch anything on Netflix together. And that could be a really fun and interactive way to watch something. Send text messages back and forth. You both see the screen. So that seems like it could be really fun. And another one is called House Party app. And that's an app where you can virtually connect, sort of like this with Zoom, except it's got games inside of it that you can play together. Again, I haven't tried either one of those, but they sound great. So if you manage to do that, please leave a comment down below in the comments section. Other things you can do. Exercise. So those of you that go to the gym, obviously you can't go there now, but there are lots of things you can do. A really good friend of mine reminded me about resistance bands and doing that kind of thing. You can do yoga. There's plenty of videos out there, yoga videos on YouTube, and there's also apps, so you can follow along with that. And you can always do push-ups and sit-ups. And you can get a bar and do pull-ups also. So that could
even
be
even if you can't do a full push-up on the ground. When I was in physical therapy a while ago, and they had me doing push-ups against the wall, just give yourself a little bit of an angle against the wall, and you can do that. And it's a lot easier than a regular push-up if you don't have the upper body strength right there.
Yeah, do what you can. You know, it's not about being the most built. It's about doing something that's going to make you feel better, right? And
Exactly.
so that's one of the things that will absolutely help. Meditation. Meditation is a great way to free your mind, and there are plenty of apps on, not only on the App Store and Google Play Store, but also on YouTube. So you can find those as well. And Headspace, I think, is an app that offers free trial, so you can try that as well. Obviously, these are in no particular order, but limit your news intake. So these days,
I couldn't agree with you more, especially before bedtime. For me personally, if I need to give myself at least an hour and a half news and social media break before bed.
Definitely. It's so important because there's the news that we need to know, which is there anything that is going to affect us? Has anything changed? Has there been a vaccine? Has there been some sort of medicine to treat? Other than that and the weather, we really don't need to harp on the news and watch 4 hours of the Today Show or read, the New York Times over and over and over again, or even scroll through Facebook, okay? So it's just too much for everyone to handle. So try and limit that if you can, okay? So remember all those books that we all have that are just waiting to be read? Now's a good time to start one. And if you're not a reader or into reading big or heavy books, a great place to start is Tales of the City. I'm sure a lot of you saw the most recent iteration that was out last year with Laura Linney. And but the original series is a really easy read. It's a fun read. It takes you out of where we are right now and puts you into a whole different world.
1970s San Francisco. It's fun. It's soapy, and it's a breeze of a read. I know the original series is 6 books. He's gone on and put out a few more since then. I know years ago I introduced a friend to that series and he loved it. I know if you're a little more digital oriented and you're not getting out to the library because the library's closed, or if the bookstore is closed, a lot of the Kindle app I know has a lot of free books available.
Yep.
And even the digital versions of the books are often lower cost than the physical copies.
That's exactly right. And the Kindle app is free. And Jonathan, you're absolutely right. There are free books on there for sure. A lot of the classics are free. And if you want something newer, you can just buy the digital copy if you have funds to do that. If you have a Kindle, you can actually rent books from the library right from your own home. I'm not sure if they can do that in the Kindle app, but it's worth a shot. So try that too.
Yeah, I know a lot of local libraries around the country have that ability, and it's a gift. It's a wonderful thing to have.
It's really cool. I've done that several times, and just having it right there in your hand and not having to go to the library is fantastic. Mm-hmm. That being said, Jonathan, we can also catch up on all those movies that we've been putting aside for years and years, right? Gone with the Wind, or who knows what, Inception. So now could be a great time to watch one of those movies. What's one of your favorite movies, or one of the movies that is on your list that you haven't seen yet, Jonathan?
Oh my goodness. Anytime that there's something that's just simply on the list and it goes on sale in digital format for like $5,
Yeah.
it's like I buy it and I say, okay, I'll get to it later. And now I have all these films in my queue that I've been meaning to see. There are even some new releases that are available digitally now because of everything that's going on. I just rented Bloodshot, which is technically a current theatrical release, but because of everything going on, they made it available digitally. So that's on our agenda for tonight. That's going to be movie night.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. And you know, a lot of, if you're not signed up for anything, a lot of services have like a 7-day free trial, maybe for HBO, Showtime. And of course, there's always Netflix and Amazon Prime and all of those things. If you don't have streaming services, now could be a fun time to invest in one, or even call your cable company and ask them if during this time you can get one of the premium channels for free. Who knows? They may say yes.
Because it's in their best interest, because they think that you'll probably subscribe once you realize how much you like it.
Absolutely. It's all about the money.
In this reality, yeah, sometimes.
Yes, yes. And Jonathan, something that you know a lot about is cooking. So I say, everyone cook, because we can still go to the grocery store as long as we're maintaining 6-foot distance. Buy something and cook. That's something that I've been doing this week that I really never do. I'm a seamless kind of guy, and my partner and I have been cooking together, for 2 or 3 nights in a row already. And I'm kind of excited to go to the grocery store later and pick up some supplies for us for tonight.
Yeah.
Who knows what it'll be.
And just for our own good health, here we've been trying to limit it to 1 grocery run a week, just to limit our contact. Yeah. But that's our daily adventure. So we take care of all of our needs. If there's something at the pharmacy that we need to pick up, we do it in one swoop, and we usually do it based around when the new circular starts. This way we can keep all our fresh goods well stocked. And we're fortunate enough that we generally maintain a well-stocked pantry and well-stocked freezers. So we're lucky in that respect that we've been able to do that. So we're just on weekly maintenance.
Great, great. I also think another thing that a lot of people are doing when they cook is doing like a Facebook Live or even like a Zoom meeting. So I did that last night. My partner and I did a Zoom meeting with our friend David, and we were cooking and he was talking to us and we were talking back to him, and it was great. So things like that can be really fun too. Let's see. You could start up a new TV series that you never watched before, like The Good Wife or West Wing, or I'm naming all my favorites.
I've been revisiting The Good Wife.
You have? Isn't it great?
It is. And for the most part, it holds up. I mean, there's a lot of current events that are referenced in it, but story-wise and performance-wise, it's still wonderful. And I know it's available on a couple of different streaming apps, as well as I know CBS has it on their app, which I do believe they offer a 7-day free trial. So that's another option, is to get in your 7-day free trial. I know the CBS app has two Star Trek series going on. If you're a Trekker, there's Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Picard, which the entire first season just finished last night. So you're not going to be left hanging with episodes to spare on those. So that's something to consider also, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, if you like that. Yeah,
it's a ton of fun. Some other things are, don't panic, or at least try not to panic. Sometimes we might wake up with a little sore throat or a cough. It doesn't mean that you have COVID-19. If you do happen to have COVID-19 and lose that sense of smell, sense of taste, have a fever, flu-like symptoms, still try not to panic. Call people, call your doctor, and just say, these are the symptoms that I'm experiencing and what should I do? Mostly it's going to be, unless your breathing becomes very labored, it's going to be what you would normally do with the flu, which is lots of fluids, take your vitamins, get a lot of rest, and things like that. So I think that that is super important as well.
Right. And in this case, acetaminophen is favored over ibuprofen.
Right. That's what I've been hearing, is that ibuprofen is not the best thing. So try to use acetaminophen, Tylenol. Let's see. And I think, one of the easiest self-care things that we can do, at least today, or even when it's just nice out, is open all the windows. Self-care doesn't have to be complicated. When it's sunny out, most people feel great. And when we can open the windows and get fresh air and not worry about being contaminated, that is a huge thing. And it's just so easy to do. The other thing is, a lot of times we want to help people. We're hearing that many people are going to be or are already out of work. Many people work for tips that they're no longer getting. But not everyone has the funds to donate to all of these campaigns. But what we can do is we can share them. We can reach out to people to make sure that they're not feeling so alone. We can write to people, maybe even that we haven't spoken to in a while. Just check in, because that feels really good. And you're doing something and you're helping people. Okay, so that's going to feel good for you, like that you're doing something helpful.
Right.
If you are living with your partner or roommate or roommates, you might need your space. We weren't really...
I wanted to get into that, because you're not used to being together 24/7, and this is a new experience all around, and you might be butting heads a little bit, and things that wouldn't ordinarily get under your skin are getting under your skin. Right. How do you communicate that without it turning into a brawl? And how do you manage to find your own space in all this?
I think the idea is really to have compassion, kindness, and understanding. I think I can say fairly confidently that everyone has some level of anxiety right now. People are feeling stressed. And when people are feeling stressed and anxious, their reactions don't always match what's going on. So, for example, I might put the ketchup in the wrong place in the refrigerator, and my partner might say, "Why did you do that?" and might lash out. He hasn't, but that could happen. And that's really a stress response. And we just have to understand, it's not about me, it's not about him, it's about the situation that's going on. Okay? So that's
I understand that, and I accept that, and I never knew how much I did wrong until now.
Right. It's hard to deal with. It really is, especially when we're experiencing that too. We may get defensive and we may engage in that behavior, but it's best not to. Maybe you can just say, "Don't worry, it's going to be fine," and then take some space. It's also important, if you can find space in a crowded New York City apartment, to just get your space, whether it's in the bathroom, whether it's in your own bedroom, or whether it's in the stairwell. Okay, make sure that you get that, because it's really important for everyone to be able to at least have a little bit of their own me time. What do you think, Jonathan?
No, I agree. And sometimes it's as simple as putting on the headphones, going into a little corner and playing my favorite song, or a song that makes me feel good, and that'll brighten my mood a little bit. And then I might not be ready to interact again right away, but it brings me a step closer, and that's a positive.
Absolutely. And those are most of the tips that I have for now. How are you coping with this, Jonathan? What do you feel like you're doing in these times to get through?
I think a lot of what we talked about, and it's like I have my little list printed, and you were checking off my list right before I could even get to it. Managing stress and just keeping a good attitude, and I do keep to my routines. It's like I get up, it's like I shower like I'm going to be going out and about my day as always.
Yeah.
Put myself together, and we're cooking together a little bit longer. I do my best to maintain my own good health and the good health of my partner as well. Trying to maintain a realistic but positive outlook in general. and it's a little bit tougher to do these days. But yeah, that's the reality of right now, and you can't deny the reality. But you have to find a little something good every day.
Absolutely. That's a great one. So maybe come up with 3 good things every day. And you don't need to write them down or send them to anybody, but just note them, right? So what
Hmm.
that looks like is today, I got up and I started my routine. The sun is shining, and I'm excited to play Animal Crossing later, right? Those are 3 good things
Hmm.
that I just pulled right out of the air, but they're all true.
Hmm.
Um, and another thing, I know I mentioned people that have roommates or are living with significant others. For those that live alone, reach out to people, you know? And also, I think everyone who is either living with people or not can reach out to those people that we know are living alone, because
Hmm.
there is that idea, you know, there are introverted people that know how to do this and enjoy this. And even I was talking to a client earlier who has no siblings, so he's used to sort of being alone and figuring out how to make that work for himself. But for many people, that's not possible. So check in on those people that you know that are living alone. Make sure they're
Hmm.
okay. See if they need anything. Maybe it's just a phone call, maybe it's a chat, maybe they don't need anything. But in this time, I think compassion and kindness
Hmm.
need to win out so that we can all get through this together.
Yes. And what are your thoughts on I know there are some people who are, yeah, there are obviously people who are getting sick, and family members are not able to get close to them and be with them at this time. How can we best deal with that? I mean, I know video chat is something, but when you're not well and someone who you love is not well, not being there physically to support them is it's detrimental to the mind in its own way. I mean,
Yeah, it's really tragic and it's traumatic. And you know, if that person maybe has a phone or some way to interact with them, either video or audio, other than that, you know, you just have to reach out to friends and family,
mhm,
um, and just say, you know, I'm going through a really hard time. This person that I know is in the hospital and they're sick and I'm not sure they're going to make it and I can't go there and be with them. They won't let me.
mhm,
So it helps to talk that out. It helps to, if somebody needs to cry, it helps to have someone to call them and cry with them on the phone. So I would
mhm.
say that's another reason to have kindness and compassion in your heart. We don't know what everyone's going through. Some people might even be scared to say what they're going through.
Right.
So just reach out and understand that people may be having a harder time than even we may think.
And that's just us. We have some tremendous healthcare warriors out there right now doing their best to help those who are sick and to help keep everybody else safe. And that's an additional stress level on them. What stresses and coping mechanisms for our healthcare warriors who are out there as well. I mean, I know quite a few nurses are in my life, and I have one good friend who's a doctor who's been keeping me probably a little bit more informed than the average person on this. And you know, what are some extra steps that we can do to help our healthcare worker friends and things like that, or is it just the same thing on a bigger level?
I think it is. Plus, you know, health workers are going to be exhausted and they're going to be scared because they're on the front lines. My partner, Max, is a social worker in a clinic up in the Bronx, and he has to go to work every day. And so that is scary for me, right?
Hmm.
Because he could get sick potentially.
Right.
And also, though, it's stressful for him. And so, what I try to do for him is, you know, try to have the ingredients for dinner. I try to keep, you know, the house clean because I'm home. I try to do those types of things. Um, you know, people that are coming home, they may not want to hear anything about coronavirus at all. They've been dealing
Hmm.
with it all day, and are really seeing unimaginable things. So I would say if you want to send them like a card or a care package, if you can, that would be a lovely thing to do. You could send them a thank you text. You can send an appreciation text or anything like that. But I think I would try to stay away from asking too many questions and even like talking about it, because we don't want their whole lives to be consumed by this, because they need to go back out there tomorrow and do the same.
Right.
Does
And to freshen up mentally and have their own distractions as well.
Definitely.
And if somebody is feeling completely overwhelmed by everything that's going on and it's just taking them to a very bad place mentally, there are lots of hotline phone numbers out there, and if you don't have somebody personally, a counselor like yourself to call, there are a lot of hotlines out there, and I will have that up on the screen as well. I urge people not to be afraid to reach out for help if they think they need it.
Absolutely. I know I don't have it with me right now, but I have seen that there are free mental health services out there for people. You can use your EAP assistance if you're working, and follow the links that Jonathan puts out there or puts down below. They're important, and use them even if you're not feeling like you might completely need it. You don't need to be in total crisis to access a healthcare worker. They can help with stress, they can help with anxiety, they can help with fear of the unknown, right? So access them. That's exactly why they're here, and that's exactly why I'm here.
And one thing that just popped into my head, there was a period of time a while ago where I was under a lot of stress and I was having a lot of issues. And I put a couple of different Post-it notes around the house. I think it's going to be okay. Everything will work out. And every so often I would just, I would see that on the fridge, or I would see that over the sink, and it made me feel a little bit better. Just, I know it was a reassuring note from myself, but just seeing that did help a little bit.
Yeah, those are like affirmations. That's a beautiful thing. Absolutely.
So I do appreciate you taking the time to chat with me about this. I know we all hope that this is going to be over quickly, and I know that the reality of that is that it might not be over as quickly as we want it to be.
Yeah.
So I do hope that we can check in again as this goes on, and please reach out to me if you come across anything that you need shouted from the rooftops. I might not have a tall building, but I have this rooftop and it's available to you. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for allowing me to come on today. And to everyone out there, we'll get through this one way or another. And I can't wait to give everyone hugs as soon as we can.
I am looking forward to that as well. And put me on that list, please.
You're on it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you take good care, Jonathan.
You too. This is John. You've been watching Talking About, and I'll see you again real soon.